What's the first thing that comes to mind when someone tells you they're a programmer? Probably someone that's smart at math or someone able to type on a keyboard and talk to a computer, right? What many people don't know is programming is much more than just typing away at a keyboard. Even good programmers are not only people who can write code. If anything, code is just 10 to 20% of the entire skill of programming. What you must realize is that a programmer is not someone that just types away at a keyboard. A programmer is someone that solves problems, and they use code as a means to solve those problems. And I say this story to say this, okay? If you want to be a good programmer, you have to know how to solve problems. You can learn JavaScript right now, and just like the best programmers in the world, you can probably type up a pretty good program. But what separates a top-notch programmer, and what personally took me from a boring basic level programmer that could just write JavaScript to an actual person making software products for my own business, was the way I was thinking and the way my whole beliefs shaped around programming. And by thinking like a programmer, not only are you a better coder overall, but you're much more productive, you write way better code, you do the stuff you actually need to do, and you solve problems at a high level, all of which are like necessary to being a programmer. Okay, so now you're probably saying, oh great Nazar, you told us that a programmer is not just a person that writes code. How can I apply this into my own life? How do you think like a programmer? So to think like a programmer, the first thing you have to do is break down the problem into different sections. This is the most important part, and what really defines a programmer that can do actual work as a productive programmer and someone that's not. When you're faced with a project, break it down into different levels. So if I'm working on an application, for example, what needs to be done? Do I need an authentication page? Do I need a page where the clients can send you emails? Like, break it down into different sections. When you do this, it makes the project much easier to look at, manage, and do the work for. So now that you broke it down into different sections, the next thing is to think about how you're going to solve the problem. Don't think about code yet. Look at the problem as it is. So let's say you're making a to-do app, right? The main functionality of that to-do app would be a place where people go and add what they need to do and maybe delete what they want to do. Think of it like that. Think of the main functionalities, because it makes the coding so much easier. I'm telling you, no one does this. And I barely did this up until a couple of weeks ago, and it's a serious game changer. Now, the next thing is to see how people have done it. Another very, very underrated thing is to simply go on GitHub, go on YouTube, and see how people solved your problems. You're not special. People have done your project, or in some way have done your project. Don't start from scratch. It's called open source for a reason. It's open for everyone. Go use that and apply it into your project and build on top of that. Not only do you save time, you save yourself a lot of energy and effort that is unnecessary. You're getting this code, and you don't even have to copy it. Just look at the code, see how people have solved the problem, so it gives you insights into the problem. Now, finally, it's just to start coding. You have an idea of what problems you're solving. You've broken them down into different problems. Now it's time to start solving the problem and start programming for real. And because you did the first 3 steps, this is the easiest part, because you know exactly what you need to do. You know what you're looking for. You know what you're solving. Now it's easy because you did the work before. I'm going to leave on this note, and I hope this comes across to you watching this. Think of programming like writing English. Anyone can write a sentence, right? Anyone can make an essay and submit it. What separates a good writer from a bad writer is how they write the paper. And to write a good paper, you don't just write right away. You think about the problem. You think about what you're writing about. You edit it. You tackle it from different angles. You do some research. Once you do this in your programming journey and projects, I promise you, you will go so far and your productivity will be so much better than the people ahead of you, simply because you were doing these extra steps that help you think like a programmer, which is an objective step-by-step matter, and in a more practical way. So the main idea, just think clearly, identify what you are doing, And that is how you think like a programmer.